1 second, go away from the mood of the music.
It is said that all the world is a stage, and in this studio on the campus of Santa Fe Community College, master teacher and international choreographer Alberto Alonso brings a world of experience to these aspiring ballerinas.
Feel the music.
At age 90, Alonso has spent the better part of a century on the world's finest stages. Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo and the Bolshoi Ballet in Russia, among the many. But his graceful moves did not guarantee a charmed life. It was his need to break ties with his native Cuba that would make his work known in the United States.
His son had defected from Cuba to the Florida Keys, and that he was trying to get to the States to seek political asylum to have his family put together.
In 1993, at the age of 77, he resurrected his career in America.
Got information from his years and his knowledge and experience that crosses over many of the great moments in the history of dance.
Refined and charming, he was a revolutionary in his own right. Alonso choreographed Carmen, whose principal dancer is defined by her fighting spirit. The theme of freedom nearly cost him.
I did Carmen to the Russians, and they didn't like it, you know. They practically threw me out of Russia.
WCJB TV 20 News, Morning Edition.
A panhandler, someone lying on a park bench, tent city. If you've watched news headlines, you might think this is the face of homelessness. But efforts to reduce panhandling, tent cities in the woods, and problems with people loitering in downtown Gainesville don't do the story justice. The fact is, there are children sleeping in cars in Alachua County. Families have no place to stay. In our first of 4 parts, we introduce you to a family probably not much different from your own. Over the next few days, we will show you different portraits of faces you wouldn't necessarily expect to be homeless.
It's so bad sometimes. We question.
Morning Edition.
No one should be able to walk into a classroom in this school system and be able to identify by look that that child is homeless.
It felt sad just driving away knowing that you may not even come back. Well, it's really hard to explain just leaving your house. It's like, first it was your house, now you gotta leave it. It's not fair. I guess we're just gonna have to, I don't know, we're gonna have to bear it. That's what they said. If we do leave, where are we gonna go?
Does anybody at school know where you're living now?
No, nobody does.
Why not?
I haven't told them. I'm too embarrassed. When they go home to their home. When I come here.
When Matthew Sims lost his job with RTS, it was a matter of months before he, his wife, and 2 children were evicted from their trailer. They feared having to go into the shelter system. But when they found the Interfaith Hospitality Network, they felt they'd found a lifeline. For the next week, the United Church of Gainesville will be their home as they wait for housing. The atmosphere is relaxed, and both parents and children feel a part of the community. It's a place to hang their hats as they work to find a permanent place of their own. It's warm, it's clean, it's comfortable, but it's not home. In Florida, uplifting messages exalting God and biblical virtues are common on church signs. But the recent message from one small church is causing big controversy.
It is not a way to get people to love you. It is a way to make a point.
Pastor Terry Jones of Gainesville, Florida, went from obscurity to notoriety with just one sign.
We went from putting the sign up to many emails, telephone calls, and I guess pretty much the latest is we landed pretty much on the front page of CNN.
But some would say it is infamy rather than celebrity that Jones has brought upon himself and his small church.
Using the same types of tactics as the Taliban would use with the Quran.
Neighbors from the middle-class subdivision and folks from across the county have come out with a message of their own.
Me, the United States is based on freedom to practice religion, freedom to do so in peace, no matter what religion, no matter what faith.
And this seems to be true not just for older Christians, but among young people as well. 18-year-old Taylor Wright has spent 4 days organizing his friends to spray paint signs, asking passersby to honk for peace and tolerance towards Islam.
There's one God, we all serve him, it's just how you view the story.
But Jones says his version of the story is the right one, and that real Christians, including those among the protesters, won't be offended. Many of them are Christian.
Mm-hmm.
They feel that this is a message that doesn't represent them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what do you say to them? Are they not Christians in your estimation?
They are definitely not Christians. And that is actually one of the reasons to do what we have done.
Jones says he's a part of a larger growing movement of people who feel as he does.
I believe the sign has stimulated.
But is this sign more than just a recruitment effort, but a sign of a growing sentiment, a warning of what's to come? He quotes nearly verbatim stats from a YouTube video called Muslim Demographics.
There are right now in Europe over 52 million Muslims.
It's been viewed more than 10 million times.
Now they have just surpassed the Catholic Church in membership. So as this continues to grow, we feel it is time for Christians to stand up.
Though no supporters for Jones have come out publicly in his or Dove Church's defense, the incidental blog post in response to the sign reveals anonymous agreement.
Basically, our churches in America and our pastors in America are very cowardly. They are afraid to take a stand.
But not everyone would agree.
This is not what America is.
I'm really glad to hear that you're from a Baptist church.
I'm from First Baptist of Alachua.
There's far too much, people are afraid to express their views against these kinds of things.
Some say traditionally accepted prejudices in the South are losing base support.
Most of us here, I should think, would say that the KKK is on the way to being relegated to the pages of history. And this kind of sign needs to be relegated to history.
Wright is a recent high school grad and plans to enlist in the Army. He feels there are greater repercussions to this form of bias.
And to have this kind of stuff is just another blow of how is the Muslim community going to think of our military with these kind of signs?
But concerns exist for Muslims abroad and at home.
I don't know how many hundreds of thousands or millions of Muslims there are in America, but they're our neighbors, and that sign is not neighborly.
I'm supporting them, and they are supporting me.
The sign outside Dove World Outreach Center seems to serve multiple purposes for Pastor Jones. What do you say of your accusers who say they're just doing it for publicity because they want to increase their numbers and they want more congregants and they're looking for people who just think like them? What do you say to those accusations?
I would say, except for the just, they're right.
To many, the sign is wrong and should come down. While Gainesville code enforcement can't have it removed, they had the church lower it. So the church took the opportunity to add to their message.
Well, what's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to our kids?
He hopes the sign will draw more congregants to his church of fledgling numbers. With 80 to 100 members, the church's operating funds don't run from member donations alone.
We're starting a newsletter. We're starting a whole chain of people who believe this way. Yes, we would love to raise large sums of money that we could go on television, that we could proclaim the message that we have.
Some say Jones's sign may come at a greater cost.
And in the end, the message of that kind of sign may prompt people to hate.
We have been labeled a message of hate. We consider it a message of love.
An assessment many Gainesville residents just aren't buying.
He said this was an act of love, this is an act of hate.
Jones's sign begs the question, when does a church's message go too far? How do you know if you're crossing the line or not?
We don't.
Stacey Samuel reporting from Gainesville, Florida.